Well, hey, you're here. You've made it. Hoorah! And where is here, you may ask? This is, of course, the MindGriller Server. And, requested by Cow. This is Cow, and I'm Gravity. And where... Now. I must protest if I was momentarily convinced in what seemed like a moment of personal weaknesses only moments ago, only because it was, that a certain loved one and guests, within the guidelines of proper hospitality rituals, mind you, are obliged to come first. I am told in English Traits, which is a book by Ralph Waldo Emerson, published in 1856, by Cow, mind you, and here I am referring to being told, not to the antiquated profession of book publishing, that there is a chapter entitled Manners, wherein Emerson discusses English manners and the conduct of guests and hosts at length, emphasizing formality, decorum, and rituals of introduction and social interaction. Speaking of manners, where are mine, of which we speak? I will note that I am obliged at this moment to mention that this episode is brought to you by the kind people at Reeve's Cookie Cutter Clumps. Reeve's Cookie Cutter Clumps tastes better with a rum chaser. Speaking of rum and chasers, and so, insofar as an under Sabova, I agreed to try out a, shall we say, revised introduction. And I have one thing to say about that, and that is, you're welcome, Canada. Now, we do not have time for such tomfoolery. No, and nay. As per my gargantuan to-do list, Cow and I are sat with a to-do list chock-a-block full of things to do, none of which can be completed in this precise location. And, parenthetically, where pray tell is this very location, you may ask? Now, good question. As the most retentive viewers of this channel will know, and that means both of you, here on the MindGriller Server, the F3 keybind has been disabled. So as to where we are, who's to say? Now, in our last spine-tingling episode, you plural may remember that the very first cut of said episode was in fact edited with the aid of artificial intelligence. And I will say that is not the case with this episode. No, and nay. In this episode, the fly-in and the fluid, artful, animated camera movements at the beginning of this very episode were... programmed by AI. Now, perhaps not precisely on par with the work of Orson Welles and Russell Meddy in the now iconic opening sequence for 1958's A Touch of Evil, but neither exactly akin to the opening scene of, shall we say, Edward D. Wood Jr.'s Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was released to an unwitting public the year before. Now, in reference to AI, perhaps it is only a matter of time, or not. As some of you plural may know, booms and busts have historically occurred throughout the post-industrial era. Just saying. Now, speaking of booms and busts, and not in the way you may have been thinking, I have been informed that imminently the MindGriller server will be updated, to Minecraft 1.21.6, given the Pablo-esque, bland, and possibly milk toast, a word which unbelievably has a Q in it, title, Chase the Skies. And what does this drop add to the game, you may ask? Now that is a good question. I suppose the most outstanding feature is the Happy Gas Mob, which takes the form of a new mountable flying marshmallow that can carry up to 4 players, but much more interestingly can dangle mobs or mobs in boats below it. And there is a harness item for said mounts and dangulations. And then there is, of course, the genetic maturation sequence of the Happy Gas, which includes the dried gas block and a temporal juvenile being called the Gastling. And apart from the Happy Gas Mob, well, there is a locator bar, which is not of interest to here on the MindGriller server at this time. It seems to subvert the very nature and spirit of our mission, such that it is. Oh, and if you play within the creaky, non-compliant confines of that other version of Minecraft, a word and a version of Minecraft which we do not acknowledge on this channel, there's something called vibrant visuals, which, well, I do not prefer to the look of our visuals here on the MindGriller server. Just saying. And there are music and sound updates. Something about a new music disc entitled Tears by Amos Roddy. I have no idea. I can't vouch for them. In more obscurely obscure terms, Minecraft added language support for 1. Old spelling Indonesian, parentheses, Indonesian pre-reform, close parentheses. Interestingly, I am told the number of people who prefer to read old spelling Indonesian is so low as to be negligible, and therefore cannot be meaningfully quantified. And 2, Canterbury language options. And here, I kid you not, as of 2011, 1997, there were about 3,000 native speakers. So there was that. And finally, according to Mojang, there were other changes, including updates to realms. Now that is the word which gives Cal the hiccups. Oh, and perhaps the most notable item of note was the announcement already of Minecraft 1.21.7. This Mojang build, which is evidently neither a release nor a drop, but a hot fix, will add a fix for falling to your death when dismounting a happy gasp while pressing the forward movement key, and a trolly earworm of a music disc. Parenthetically, the most observant viewers of this channel will know, and that means both of you, the cow does neither approve nor find pleasure in earworms. Just saying, in reference to said music discs, which you can get as a drop from killing a zombie chicken jockey. And there was a 3x3 painting of a Minecraft dog, all snatched from the cow, cover your ears, realms of a Minecraft movie. Okay, cow, you can uncover your ears now, because no one doesn't love a tie-in. Anywho, now, from time to time, Cow and I share with you, plural, what the most observant viewers of the channel will recognize as tidbits from our routine media consumption. I will say, this is not a moment wherein I will share such a long tale about the usual suspects. I will merely point to one single event, wherein someone named Gail King said something shockingly shocking, followed by, I thought that was hilarious, what does that mean? Because Gail, if we are to be fooled by her, it turns out wants us to think that things she does not know the meaning of, she evidently finds to be hilarious. Now it turns out, sitting across from her at said moment in which she said said blunder, laughing hysterically mind you, was someone named Mateo Lane and his biceps, who collectively replied in the moment, I love you, Gail King. It means exactly what you think it means. And then she played dumb in a very, I'm being very Gail now, in a neck-snappingly passive-aggressive form of forced labor camp variety of personal privilege, which I will have you plural know was not easy to say. And then this guy, still named Mateo Lane, said, that's something which was intended, Cow and I suspect, to shadily point to the irony that we have all long suspected to be true about Gail, but instead came off as a sort of issuance of a get-out-of-jail-free card by someone who was not authorized to issue such an issuance. None of which matters much to either Cow or I. But what was of interest was that, which said Mateo said, which caught our attention thereafter. Are you ready? Grab your hair plugs. He said, when asked if he ended up speaking to King at all after the fallout, he said, no, they rocketed her off the planet. CBS is like, we gotta get her out of here. Her controversy went from calling me a joking, obviously, to being in space with the world's most insufferable human being, Katy Perry. Oh my God. Now, the most frequent viewers of the channel will recognize Katy Perry as, shall we say, a friend of the channel. And it turns out, evidently equally a friend of Mateo Lane, who saw her as a personal form of purgatory for one foul-mouthed, privileged monster and hate-watch magnet wholly unironically named Gail. And now, if I had a towel soaked in Lysol, I would put it in one ear and drag it out the other. Let us not speak of these people any longer. That is to say, speaking of said people of whom we no longer speak, Cow and I noticed in what seemed like just 2 edits ago, only because it was, an addition to Cow's YouTube homepage, wherein a video entitled Silly Ideas in the all-caps new Minecraft game drop, exclamation point, uploaded by someone called Mumbo Jumbo. I don't know, I can't vouch for them. It was uploaded 12 hours ago. In said video, he, meaning Mumbo or Jumbo or Mumbo nor Jumbo, who can say? This guy, Mumbo Jumbo, of who we now speak, said, as per an AI-generated online YouTube-to-text transcriber. Number 1, by the way, this video is sponsored by Minecraft. 2, Mojang are paying me to play Minecraft. 3, seriously, I have to send this to Mojang. 4, they have to review this video. And 5, this is sponsored by them. Oh, and then he dropped, because of course he did, the term RS Snorlatch. Hey, look, Cow, do you see what I see? Now, it was but a brief glimpse in the distance, but I think I see a dried gassed head right over here. This is quite fortunate. I believe I just banged it on his head. And yoink! Hey, that was quite good. good. No. What were we talking about before I just yoinked that head off the ground? Yeah, what's his name? And his apparent obsession with RS Snorlatches. Now, about that I have but one thing to say. Now nor now, let us not let our collective eyes glaze over. As you plural may already know, basic American high school classes such as digital electronics or digital systems design introduce RS Snorlatches in the first week. There is no verified knowledge here, so let us neither get mumbled nor jumbled by this sort of terminology. Moreover, consequently, and accordingly, after watching said video in its entirety, and I will never be the same henceforth, mind you, I have questions. Number 1, did Mojang call this guy? Yo, we need you of all people to make a video for us. 2, did he make a video and then shop it to them to sponsor it? Is this a one-off or is subsequent video content to be sponsored? 4, did you plural notice that he said, quote, they have to review this video? And, quote, seriously, I have to send this to Mojang. So, it is not only a sponsored, but it is more accurately, can we get an RS Snorlatch for these inputs? Input number 1, pre-approved sponsored content. Input number 2, advertiser approved content. Input number 3, branded content with editorial approval. Input number 4, pre-release preview / pre-publication approval. And or nor. Input number 5, advertiser as client approved content. And so that happened. And the green cone type of photoreceptor cells located in my retina will never be the same. And perhaps most intriguingly, input number 5, what did they, meaning Mojang, require him to add and or nor? What do they require him to change? And may I add here, input number 6, I just thought of it. What was exchanged? I asked said previously said questions because answer to said questions are relevant to understanding what to which I just witnessed. Over 12 minutes and 46 seconds out of my and Cow's precious existence on this planet. And whilst I'm here, of all incomprehensible places, the most observant viewers of this channel will have already noticed that the MindGriller Server was, prior to watching the aforementioned video recommended to Cow by YouTube's all-powerful and all-knowing algorithm, mind you, updated to 1.21.6. And if I may add a point of personal privilege, my eyes. Anywho, did you plural notice something which just occurred which has never occurred on this channel before this very moment? The voice you plural heard in the previous commentary was synthesized by an AI model trained on voice recordings of my own voice. Not that part. The voice you heard did not generate from my natural speech patterns, but rather an artificial recreation which was neither sponsored nor edited / approved for content by Mojang. I'm afraid those guys. Since I, and by that I mean we, are already here, and neither I nor we are ones to randomly take pot shots at the powers that be, such that we may, I will say that at this moment in time, we are well aware of the contributions to a certain film about the world in which Cow and I live by a certain someone who wants to be known as a builder, and in the same breath, this association of which I speak and the murkiness therein is contributing to Cow's periodic bouts of hiccups and the other kind of hiccups. And before we degrade ourselves into such a spectacle and due in part to Cow's bone-chilling separation anxiety, sadly, it's time for us to say our goodbyes. Goodbye, so long.